Check, check. Mr. Mayor, the meeting's yours.
Thank you. We will call to order the Riverside City Council meeting for Monday, August 18th, 2025 at 6 p.m. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Brown?
Here.
Mr. Denning?
Here.
Ms. Fry?
Here.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Ms. Lomatch?
Yes.
Mr. Maxfield?
Yes.
Mayor Williams?
Here. No absent members. Mr. Manager, any additions or corrections to the agenda as presented?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Move to approve. Second.
We have a motion for Mr. Brown and a second for Mr. Joseph to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. If you're able, please join us to rise and pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We have a guest with us tonight from the County Recorder Office. In fact, it's the County Recorder. So at this time, we would like to welcome Ms. Lori Kennedy to the podium, who is the Montgomery County Recorder, and thank her for joining us this evening.
Thank you. Hello. Thank you, Mayor Williams and Council. It's a pleasure to be here with you this evening. I am Lori Kennedy, and I'm honored to serve as your Montgomery County Recorder. Since taking office in January, I've made it my top priority to protect the property rights of our homeowners and investors by tackling the rising threat of deed fraud. I'm often asked, what does the Recorder's Office do? Well, the Recorder's Office, it records, maintains, and protects all the documents pertaining to real estate in the county. Our office records over 100 documents. Those documents include mortgages, deeds, and liens. I have initiated some incentives in the last 6 months I'd like to quickly talk about. First of all, previously we had no notaries in our office. So since taking office, I've added 2 new notaries. I'm in the process of adding a third. We are notarizing 100 documents at no cost in my office monthly. Secondly, I'm thankful for Auditor Carl Keith for partnering with me and welcoming the deed fraud pre-check program that I've created. Since I've taken office, the Auditor's Office has allowed my office to review all the quitclaim deeds, both that are mailed in and walked into to the office prior to transferring the property, then again coming to my office to record. All the quitclaim deeds must receive a pre-fraud deed stamp before they are transferred from the Auditor's Office back to my office. We're also asking the individuals to have their identification if they are a walk-in. And all the quitclaim deeds are checked for the following. We check with the Secretary of State to make sure that the notaries are active. We are also checking the prep statements and, of course, the signatures. My staff and I are working closely with Prosecutor Matt Heck to successfully prosecute individuals who steal homes through fraudulent quitclaim deeds as well. I'd like to bring Kate Baker up for a moment. She's my programs coordinator, and she'll tell you a little bit about our programs. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kennedy. Hi, good evening. Like she said, my name is Kate Baker. I'm the programs coordinator, and we have a deed fraud problem in our county, and I'm coming to you to please ask you to help us. So if you don't know what deed fraud is, someone fraudulently takes your home. You know what it is when someone steals a phone or a car? Well, imagine someone taking your home, and you have to hire a lawyer and go through years of court to get it back. This is your largest financial asset of your home. So we're asking you to please sign everybody up at fraud alert notification. It's real easy. You can QR code in. We also have paper forms. I can leave some more in the lobby for you. It's in your packets. And what that does when you sign up, by signing up, if anybody tries to transact on your mortgage or deed, you'd be notified by mail, email, and texting is coming online later this year. Here's some facts about the fraud alert program. Our other program that we have is transfer and death. This is an instrument that's, not everybody can afford a partnership or trust. So if you want to transfer your house to your heir, this is a cost-effective way to do this. And what I mean by cost-effective, you're not hiring an attorney and waiting 2 years in probate. So the house instantly becomes theirs once. So you come into our office, you fill out the forms, free notary, for less than $50 it can be recorded. And then once the person passes, the heir will come in, fill out an affidavit saying, yes, the person passed away, and a copy of the death certificate. For about $50, it'll be recorded. and the house will be theirs. This saves time and money. They don't have to pay for a lawyer. Our other program that we have is a veteran identification. And with the veterans honorable discharge on their DD 214, they can get a free ID. This enables them to have discounts in the community. We have a list of vendors that offer discounts in our community, so that's cost effective. But here's why it matters. Even in death, the veteran has benefits. They're entitled to a headstone, they're entitled to be buried at the VA, and they can also, usually there's a benefit to the family. So this helps the family get organized when that time does come. So our next Veterans Outreach is, if you'd share with your community, is September the 11th at the Hugh Pride's YMCA. And this helps the veterans come in, we'll get them organized, and we'll get the paperwork and get the ID made for them. They're also welcome to come to our office anytime, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. And our website for this office is www.mcrecorder.org. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Oh, that's a lot you guys are up to, so that's a very, very,
Lori makes us work hard.
very thorough update. Specifically on two of the, I just have a few questions. Specifically on the two of the programs you mentioned. One was the deed fraud program, deed fraud prevention program, I should say, and then the veterans programs. The prevalence of deed fraud, that's something that I would imagine that most folks maybe know little to nothing about until it happens to them. And then,
That's
as you
right.
said, maybe best case scenario, they can get a lawyer and fight it for years in court, and maybe worst case scenario, they have a tremendous financial loss or worse because of the loss of that asset. Is that something that you see, the program that you guys have implemented, is it having a positive impact in our community?
So since Lori took office in January, I believe we've signed up 3,200 homes. So it's not the 25,000 I was looking for, but you guys can help sign up. So please share this information with your family, your neighbors, on your social media platforms, and with your contacts in your community. Because again, how do you help people? Help everybody getting signed up. Because if there's any fraud detected, they would be notified. The sooner they call in and say, yes, I did have something, I didn't sign up for this. So did you, we can tell by the instrument number, we'll look it up. Oh, yes, this is a roof that with the mechanics lien put on your house. Oh, so they would recall, oh, yeah, I did get a new roof. Oh, yeah, I did sign for upfront. So not every notification is fraud, but we will tell you at every notification. So please have having the community work with us would really benefit everybody.
There are 36,000 signed up currently and 246,000 parcels in the Montgomery County.
Okay.
So we have a little bit of work to do.
Yes.
But we make it headway.
And I think the benefits to our veterans in our community is also something that many folks maybe wouldn't think of the recorder's office first. So that's something that I think we'd certainly be happy to share all of this information through our social media platforms, but that's very timely and very appropriate for our community where we have a large amount of veterans that call this place home. Any questions from my fellow council members for our guests from the recorder's office?
What's the process look like from getting information over from your office to the auditor's office?
So,
Would you like to speak to that? Are you talking about the pre-fraud D check that I just put in
No,
place?
just like how long does it like
Oh,
take
the
to
timeline?
get- if you bought a house and it's the deed's on your website, what is the process? How long does it take to show up on the auditor's website?
For the entire process, it doesn't take very long. Actually, it depends where they're backed up. So if the auditor's office tends to be backed up in a few weeks out, I think they're maybe a week out at this point. But my office is we're all caught up at this point.
I'll text Carl.
Doesn't always show up as
Carl and I are
quickly.
working closely together. So we are doing, I may mention that I didn't, I knew we were on a bit of a time limit, but Carl and I are working on e-recording, so we'll be e-filing, and it actually goes up in front of the commissioners tomorrow. So we are working for, that's super exciting for all the title companies. Everybody's really excited because it will be instant. There will not be a wait. That's going on as we speak.
How many instances of deed fraud has happened in Montgomery County? I mean, within
When I
since
took
it's been- since it's been
office-
started being recorded.
Yeah, when I took office, there was probably 50 active. Currently, in the last 6 months, there's 16 more, 16 to 20 more. So, yeah. So what will happen is if an individual feels that their property's been transferred, or they, obviously, they have to report it. So they're coming into my office and doing what's called an affidavit in fax. So they're filling that out, and then we're obviously notarizing that for them. And then their whole story gets packaged up, and it gets bundled and goes to the investigator's office. And there is a timeline with that, obviously. We've had some really great news because the prosecutors have, a couple individuals have gotten their properties back. Robin Mobley being one of them. You might have seen her on the news quite often. And Love Has Homes, I know that the two of the individuals went to jail just in the last 6 weeks.
Wow,
Yeah, so we're making some headway.
okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions for our friends from the recorder's office? All right. And I believe the recorder wanted to get a photo with the council. Is that
Yes.
still the case? You guys all bring your good smiles tonight? All right. This time, we're the photos this time. How long is it? Yeah, I was gonna say, is it a year? Are you on the recorders or are you on the audio? Yeah.
The name on the auditor's website.
You have to do it on three. 1, 2, 3.
Anytime anybody has questions, please come visit my office.
All right, you got everybody, you can talk to her.
I think you signed that chair because I was sitting.
Thank you, Nana.
I just wrong. And I'm left-handed. But thanks for asking. Of course.
All right, thank you again, and we will move on to the next part of our agenda. If there's any citizens joining us tonight who wish to speak on an agenda or non-agenda item, there are slips in the back for the ability to speak, the citizens' petitions to turn into the clerk. We've all had a chance to review the meeting minutes from our August 4th council meeting. Is there a motion to approve those minutes as published?
So
So, second.
We have a motion from Mr. Denning and a second from Mrs. Lomash to approve the minutes as published. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Moving along, we have a liquor license, new liquor license, and this is for an address at 2034 Harshman. I believe, Mr. Manager, there are no additional comments for this?
Correct. No objections or anything found in the background check, so no action required at this time.
Okay. Well, then we move on. We have public comment for agenda items, of which we have a few slips that were turned in. And I will ask Ms. Frida Patterson, who has turned in a slip, to come to the podium. Thank you for joining us tonight, Ms. Patterson. Please state your name and address for the record, and please keep your comments at 3 minutes. Thank you again for joining us.
Frida Patterson, 335 Marjorie Avenue, Riverside, Ohio, 45404. I wrote several of the ordinances, or excuse me, the resolutions down because what I'm going to say applies to several. On the stormwater fees, I was not real thrilled about it to begin with, but my understanding was that these were going to be done in-house with the trash billing, which was going to require employees and more costs to the citizens in the long run. But now I'm saying that it's actually being outsourced. So if it's being outsourced, how much money is this actually going to generate? Because we have to pay for that outsourcing, for the invoices, the mailing, all that information. And is it really going to make the city much money then? At this point, most of us residents, if not all, feel like we're being nickeled and dimed to death because of past practices of council, maybe not you all, but still, that has misappropriated funds to where we're in the position we're in and going to be in a deficit and bankrupt by 2030, causing the state to come in, which in turn is going to then raise all of our taxes to try to get us out of it. Whenever, once again, this was because of past practices by council as to why we are in this position. Now you're wanting to add these light levies for lighting, which should be an automatic. Now let's charge everybody that has a light on their street for this. It's getting ridiculous. You're going to force the low-income and the elderly out who already cannot barely make it in today's finances. And yet, it's constant. It's constant, 14 here, 7 here. You know, if you make $1,000 a month as an elderly and you are trying to survive, which my mother would have been one of those, if she was alive today, she would not be able to be in her home without someone else being there to help her. And that's ridiculous. From day one of what council started doing when they became a city, they had done nothing but blow money where it shouldn't have went to. That's why we're in the position we are. That's why we have crappy roads. But then every time I turn around, it's past a levee. Once again, this is why we don't pass the levies. We didn't do this. City council needs to step up and start doing their job. And once again, I'm going to pound the Right Point buildings. I understand we've got things in the works or whatever, but how long have we held off waiting on Right Pat to make a move? We keep holding off on crap and putting money into it. City needs to get rid of all these vacant lots, the houses they own, the buildings they own. You guys make a step, and then maybe us residents will make a step in trying to improve our city. All I'm saying is it go down, down, down. If I make it into council, I know what I'm coming into. I don't even think I can fix it. Can anybody fix it at this point? But I tell you one thing, I'm not going to try to nickel and dime my fellow residents to death to get us there whenever we didn't cause these issues. And that's all I have to say tonight, except, I'm sorry, but that was a personal question. You just took a few minutes of all of our time, their time and everything for a personal question that had nothing to do with council. You just mixed business with personal. Not right. That should have not been allowed. I'm done. Thank you.
Next, we have Mr. John Ziegler of 4238 Blue Rock Road, who wishes to speak on an agenda item. Mr. Ziegler? Thank you for joining us tonight. When you please state your name and address for the record, and please keep your comments to 3 minutes. Thank you again.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council, for letting me speak. My name's John Ziegler. My address is 4238 Blue Rock Road, Riverside, Ohio. Tonight, I wanted to talk about the resolutions also, and I see a lot of them are for the final end of it here is where they're going to be billing the people for the violations they had. And there's like 3 different ones here, number 2, number 3, and number 6, I believe. And I just wonder if they can look at, before they bill these people, to see if they resolve these. Because one of my neighbors has resolved all their things they're getting ready to be billed for, and I think it would only be, it would be nice. Some of these are young families with babies and stuff, and they fixed the stuff. And I can give you the address later, but I think they should look at all these before they bill people and see if they've been resolved already, all 3 of these. That's all I have to say.
If I could, Mr. Ziegler,
Sir?
just so there's clarity, Mr. Manager, the assessments or the bills that are due to go out, these are on people that have not paid on, these are properties that have not paid on services that were performed by the city. Maybe it's cutting grass, maybe it's abating a nuisance.
Correct. For those types of violations, we would have invoiced already, received no payment, and that account would still be open in our system. And if it remains unpaid, then the next step is to try to recover those monies through an assessment process. If you can share with us the parcels or addresses that are of concern to you, we can be sure that those are not included on the list. And I don't want to speak out of turn, but Mr. Law Director, if council approves the list as presented tonight, and we do find out after the fact that an address needs to come off of it, we can do that administratively, correct?
That is correct. And Mr. Manager and Council, violations that are listed on the exhibit for particularly a nuisance abatement assessment is to recoup monies that have been expended by the city's abatement contractor. So it will all be for work that has already been completed. So there may have been multiple violations. Some may have been remedied by the property owner. Some may have been abated by the contractor. So the assessments, just for clarification as well, will only be for abatement work that was conducted by the city, not for anything that was done by the property owner. Thank you.
But please share those addresses with us, and we will triple check them.
Yeah, I just don't want it to happen like, in the past, that there was a house that got boarded up and that there was a little overstepping, and I just, I don't know who's doing these assessments. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you. We'll move into unfinished business. Let me just double check to make sure that we're the only ones for agenda items. All right, moving into unfinished business. We have a second reading, public hearing, and potential adoption of an ordinance. And this is an ordinance to determine this is for the, remind me what we're voting on, Mr. Manager. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong thing.
No, you're good. This is the second reading of the annual streetlight assessment.
Streetlight assessment, okay. And the streetlight assessment is something that we do every year,
Correct.
and we have done for years. Yes. So, the Riverside City Council allows for a city ordinance to be read by title only, unless the council member requests otherwise. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, would you please read this ordinance by title only?
Ordinance number 250868, an ordinance determining to proceed with the improvement of certain streets between certain termini in the city of Riverside, Ohio, by lighting the same with electricity.
All right, I will now open the public hearing for ordinance 25-0-868 at 6:22 PM. Anyone wishing to speak on this ordinance may come to the podium. Please state your name and address for the record, and please keep your comments to 3 minutes. Seeing no one and hearing no one come forward, I will now close the public hearing for ordinance 25-0-868 at 6:22 PM. Is there any further discussion among members of council?
Yeah, well, I'll ask a couple questions. So how long has the city been doing this process? Assessing streetlights?
For a very long time. I don't have a
Since we became
precise
the
The whole
answer
time
for
we've been
you.
a city?
30
Why do
years.
we
We
do
became
this?
a city.
Potentially since prior.
Well, the lighting assessments would have existed prior to
Right.
the merger of the city and the
To
village.
pay to pay for the electric, for the streetlights.
Yeah, so there's a proportionate share amongst all homeowners or property owners in the city to pay for the street lighting that is on their street.
You only have a streetlight assessment if you have a streetlight.
Right.
If the people that have a streetlight district, okay, they petitioned the township at the time to make that a lighting district. And they agreed that when they have, as long as they have the lighting district, they would pay the bill for that on their taxes. This is the ordinance that we pass yearly to cover that cost, because the city pays the bill and then we put it on their taxes to pay us back.
And so the street lighting district, you said that's passed by like the residents?
It was a self-assessment established at the time that those,
It's based on,
Houses went in.
the linear footage of your house and how far if that light is for your area, you pay a portion of the total bill based on the amount of footage that you have, linear footage you have on the street.
So, just so I'm clear, this is petitioned by the residents, so if any new street lighting districts would come up, it would have to be by a motion or a movement of the people in that area to request it. Two, if you purchase a home, I'm assuming that that information is made abundantly available to you, that
It's on the tax.
you're purchasing a house with a street, that has a streetlight assessment onto it, so, this is just more pro forma of a function of government this is how the countywide, this is how we pay for streetlights.
This is the way most.
no different than the aquifer assessment or other assessments that.
And the newest
wind up-
one is Beatrice.
Makes sense to me.
That's the question then. Did Beatrice then turn around and agree to assess this?
Frida, can you come to the microphone real quick? Please, sorry.
That's the point of my question then. Did Beatrice come along and agree to this assessment? Because you guys were saying that this was an agreement. Because I don't recall ever such agreement.
The Beatrice,
The new lights on Beatrice.
Does Beatrice have a lighting district?
Now they do, they never did before. That's what I'm saying. So now they're going to get assessed? No, there was no agreement for that, from what I've followed, council.
So I would need to do a little bit of homework to find out exactly who's impacted. But my understanding, and again, I don't want to speak out of turn, is that there are two ways that this can happen. One of which is residents self-petition, and the other is that the city council can establish a lighting district. If I'm not mistaken.
Yes, Mr. Manager,
Sorry, Jim, I keep your, for the feedback, I keep it down. Try again.
Oh, feel free to keep it down all the time. That's no big deal. So the statute, this is a state law. This is not within the charter per se. This is a unique statute. They're called ESIDs, an Energy Special Improvement District. They can either be self-petitioned, as Mr. Mayor indicated, or lighting districts can be established by a ordinance of council. As Councilmember Denning described, the parcels within each Energy Special Improvement District are taxed, they're assessed as a special assessment, a proportionate amount of the benefit that comes from the street lighting within the termini of that street onto that parcel where that property sits. So it's going to be a different assessment for each parcel based on how much benefit the street lighting provided by the city provides for that particular parcel. Without having the ESID maps in front of me, which are housed in another department, I can't speak as to what ESID or energy special improvement districts were self-petitioned from prior to the city incorporating versus any special improvement districts that had been established by an act of council. But that would be a matter of public record. That, as Mr. Manager indicated, I'd be happy to help assist to determine when those were established and by what method under the revised code.
Okay, so again, let me just reiterate. So some of these are being council forced, these assessments. Thank you.
If I may, Mr. Mayor, I
Yes.
believe that Beatrice was put on by this council just 3 or 4 years ago because that street had been so dark, and and I believe there was a young lady that lost her life on that street, and the decision was that that street needed to be lighted, and therefore we moved forward with making that its own lighting district. It took us like 2 or 3 years to actually get those lights up, and so that's how that lighting district came into effect. I mean, you can go back and look, but I believe that was the condition.
Well, I think that we'll get some specific answers on the Beatrice lighting district since it was discussed. Is there any further comments among members of council? If not, I'll ask the clerk to call the question. I'm sorry, call the roll. Call the roll.
Mr. Denning?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Fry?
Yes.
Ms. Lomach?
Yes.
Mr. Maxfield?
Yes.
Mayor Williams?
Yes. Moving on to new business, of which we have one ordinance and several resolutions. The first ordinance is the first reading and public hearing of our solid waste collection revenue fund establishment.
This is a housekeeping ordinance that creates that fund in our accounting system so that when utility bills go out, we can collect for trash service and then reimburse the hauler accordingly.
Okay.
Move to
Riverside
approve.
City Charter allows for the reading of an ordinance to be done by title only unless a council member requests otherwise. Madam Clerk, could you please read this ordinance by title only?
I have Mr. Denning as a motion. I didn't have the second.
Oh, sorry.
Second.
We have a motion from Mr. Denning and a second from Mr. Joseph.
Ordinance number 250869, an ordinance creating the solid waste collection revenue fund.
All right. Is there any further discussion by members of council? And am I seeing correctly on the agenda that, is there a public hearing attached to the first reading?
No, there's not.
That'll be
unless-
next meeting.
Okay, that's what I
Sorry,
thought.
that was my fault.
So if there's no further discussion by members of council, unless there is, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Mr. Denning?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Fry?
Yes.
Ms. Lomach?
Yes.
Mr. Maxfield?
Yes.
Mayor Williams?
Yes. We'll move into our resolutions. First resolution, Resolution 25-R-3041, and this is a surplus items resolution, Mr. Manager?
Correct. We periodically bring these to council. The attached exhibit shows items that are no longer needed or have expired in each of the departments, and adopting this resolution allows us to get rid of those items.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion from Ms. Lomach and a second from Mr. Denning. All those in favor of Resolution 25-R-3041 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. The next resolution, Resolution 25-R-3042. This is our abatement of grass and debris assessment.
Grass and weed mowing.
Thank you.
Yep.
Grass, weed, and mowing assessments onto the tax record. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion from the Deputy Mayor and a second from Mr. Joseph. Any further discussion? All those in favor of Resolution 25-R-3042 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. The next resolution, very similar resolution. This is for abatements of different properties in the city.
Nuisance
properties,
fines and
thank you.
abatements, and I do want to be clear for the record that there is an updated exhibit in front of council that consolidates some of the parcels and provides totals for those parcels. And we also, out of an abundance of caution, did administratively pull some parcels off of the initial list. And we're just going to double check those, and if they do need to be assessed, we'll be back in front of you at a later time for those.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion from Mr. Joseph and a second from Mr. Denning. All those in favor of Resolution 25-R-3043 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. The next resolution is a service agreement, professional service agreement for the city manager. You want to speak on this in just a moment?
I'll actually take the next two. So 3044 and 3045 were both discussed at the prior meeting. Beth and Michaela were here and provided an overview. These are professional services agreements to facilitate online billing and bill pay, which we have no capacity to do ourselves as staff, and also to design, print, and mail these bills, which again, we have basically no capacity to do as staff. So these resolutions together work in concert with our finance system and will essentially allow us to get these bills built, printed, mailed, and to collect against those bills as well.
So the person that we've hired will essentially be taking these in, processing the bills, making contact. That's their essential job. We're basically hiring a printing company because we're not a printing company, we can't do that
Correct.
in-house, correct?
Yes.
And we're not an online bill system, so that's essentially what these two companies are doing.
Correct. And a big part of Michaela's role is in the back-end administration to be sure that the data that goes on the bill is correct and accurate, and that any and all credits or issues with that bill are resolved in-house so that we have capacity to do that, and then to assist with payment processing as well. So we will be doing those things in-house.
Right. We're just not,
Just not
Printing.
printing the actual bills and stuffing them in envelopes, because when you have more than 9,000, that's a pretty big one.
And the amount to do, like, per invoice is nominal, I would assume, like, within the cents.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and I can provide you with additional context, but we did put this out and got quotes for these professional services. We selected competitive quotes, which when you average these things out over the entire number of accounts that we have is a minimal addition to the bill. And basically just is it's the cost of doing business in order to get this off the ground and actually collect these revenues.
Yeah, because I mean, the amount of money in infrastructure investment we would have to invest to, one, have a software to do this, two, have like mail packing equipment,
Yeah.
the envelopes, I think it would take years to recoup that amount.
Frida, we can't do this right now.
Point of order. This is council member discussion. I'll continue. The amount that I feel the city would invest in infrastructure would be significantly larger than the amount that is going to cost per invoice over the length of us having to send out bills now. So, I mean, this isn't something, in my professional experience, I have not seen a municipality who has utility billing do printing and packing of invoices in-house.
Well, and this is probably no different than what Montgomery County Water System does, or DP&L, or AES, or Republic, or all.
Our neighboring cities, including Huber Heights, all use a third-party company to do billing and bill processing.
Yeah,
So it's not that different than what our neighbors do.
And out of the 50, 75-plus municipalities I've consulted for who do utility billing, I've not seen a single one do printing in-house.
Okay, well, is there a motion for Resolution 25-R-3044?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion from Mr. Joseph and a second from the Deputy Mayor. All those in favor of Resolution 25-R-3044 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. I'll ask the same question for Resolution 25-R-3045.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion from Mr. Joseph and a second from Mr. Maxfield. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. All right, and the sixth resolution, Mr. Manager, is another assessment for delinquent charges on curb and sidewalk repairs.
This is a very specific resolution. So the property located at 4700 Linden Avenue previously entered into what's known as a fee in lieu agreement with the city, which means we charge them a fee and collect that fee in lieu or instead of making them pay to put in a bunch of curb and gutter out on Linden. They have not paid that fee. So they agreed to do this, but we've brought it up, invoiced them, they haven't paid the invoice. So in this case, we would like to assess that property to be sure we recover that fee so that when it's time to put that curb and gutter in, we've been paid to do it. It's only that property that is on this resolution.
And that's the corner of Lending and Spalding.
Correct. I believe it's the gas station over there.
Yeah.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion from Mr. Denning and a second from Mr. Brown. What?
Either me or Brenda.
Oh, I just heard it from this side. Andy, you need to pipe down. I'm giving it to Brenda. We have a motion, Mr. Denning, a second from the Deputy Mayor. All those in favor of Resolution 25-R-3046 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. I was like, oh, good, Andy said something. No, he didn't. Strike that from the record. Finally, we have a resolution, Resolution number 7, that is a then and now, as we call it.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Correct. So this is, we discussed this last meeting as well. So this concerns the property parcel at the corner of Airway and Woodman, where we have a city sign as well as an RTA bus stop. That parcel we have been leasing from the Army Corps, or excuse me, the Army National Guard. And prior to this latest contract renewal, that lease was for in-kind services. And so my understanding is that what we were given was a renewal copy of the lease and an invoice that basically where the federal government now wants cash instead of letting us do in-kind services. Because we got both of those at the same time, I'm happy to pay that, but it does require then and now because we haven't set up the agreement before the invoice came in. Really fundamentally, it's a question of if you would like to continue having that sign in that bus stop or not. The amount is relatively modest, I believe $4,500 over a 5-year period. So it's not all that expensive to keep it in place. I would just need the paperwork and council's approval to sign the bill.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion from Ms. Lomach and a second from Mr. Joseph. All those in favor of Resolution 25-R-3047 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Moving along on our agenda, we have public comment for non-agenda items, of which we have several folks who have turned in slips. So we will begin with the first slip turned in. Mr. John Ziegler, back again with a non-agenda item. Please come to the podium. Thank you for your time this evening on double duty.
Thank you,
And
Mayor.
please state your name and address for the record, and please keep your comments to 3 minutes. Thank you again.
Thank you, council. My name's John Ziegler. My address is 4238 Blue Rock Road. So I wanted to talk about our city charter just for a minute. I think, like 30 years ago, they set up a great city charter. And I think that, are there any amendments coming up at this next election? Is there going to be any issues being voted on for changing anything at all, or?
I don't believe that the council's putting forward any charters for this election.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay. I've had a few ideas.
I think we did 5 or 6 the last election.
Okay, yeah. So I think 30 years ago, when we set up our charter, I think they left out one thing. There should be a consequence or something, I can't think of the right word, if we don't have a proper city charter review. And right now, we have nothing, so I think it's really important that we never miss an official city charter review again. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ziegler. Next, I will ask Mr. Tim Gosnell, sorry. Is he here with us tonight? You've turned in a slip to speak on a non-agenda item?
Yes, sir.
Thank you for joining us this evening. If you could please state your name and address for the record, and please keep your comments to 3 minutes. And once again, thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you. Tim Gosnell, 12 Beatrice Drive. I'm with some other folks from Beatrice Drive. We have some new construction going on, and it's kind of confusing and kind of getting everybody on edge. So I guess really, I understand that we're trying to figure out exactly what's going on. It appears that this gentleman's going to build a house back in the woods, and he's going to put brush and wood in the waterway, and he's putting in a road instead of a driveway. The driveway supposed to be putting in is 18 inches deep. Looks like it'll hold like a semi. And I guess the concern is he owns a trucking business. He does CDL trucking for a company on Troy Street. So we're all kind of concerned in the neighborhood about what's going on back there, and just wanted to see if there's a way to get some sort of some idea of what's going on. Or is there information you can give us? Is it too early to ask these questions, or?
It's too early to ask.
Okay, I mean, that's fair.
We're actually meeting as staff later this week, just to make sure we're all on the same page here internally. And then we will figure out what the next steps are in terms of required filings.
Okay.
And when it might be on a public meeting.
Well, can we know what permits they have already?
I don't know that off the top of my head. We're going to try.
But we can get that information for you this week.
Yeah.
Is that-
Okay.
Yeah, I would say, is that fair to say, Mr. Manager, without jumping right in?
Yeah, I'm not trying to be difficult, but we're trying to figure
Not
out
at
what's
all,
going on.
not at all. And that's public information that you're
Right.
that's more than reasonable to expect to know. But if if a property in the city has pulled a permit,
Mm-hmm.
then that the public can at least know if there's a permit been pulled.
Yep.
So that's
Okay.
information we can have for the next few days.
Okay, and so how would I get that information back if you get it in the next few days?
Then
We're going to email you.
the city
Good email.
manager and our community development director can both
Sweet.
get a hold of you.
Okay.
And if we don't have your email, we'll get it before you leave.
Oh, you have my email.
Yeah, I had a feeling we did. I had a feeling we did.
And that's not a bad thing, I don't think, hopefully.
Yeah.
All right,
But
thank
we
you.
certainly have, if there's public information that we have, we're happy to share it, and we're happy to make it available.
All right, thank you, sir.
It's never a bad thing to have your email.
All right, thank
Yeah.
you.
All right. Next, we have, is it Stacy Kubera? Did I say it correctly? Yes. All right, first try. Put that in the minutes. Name correct on the first try. I don't even get my own name correct in most tries. All
Thank
right,
you for the
Ms. Kubera,
time.
thank you for your time this evening. Please state your name and address for the record, and please keep your comments at 3 minutes. Thanks again for joining us.
Thank you. Stacy Cabera, address 39 Beatrice Drive, Dayton, Ohio, in Riverside, of course. We've lived there, I don't know, I lose track of dates, 19 years or something, and we've always had that space behind our house as wooded area. It is the space between the old lantern, the old green lantern, the Riverside Hideaway now, which is doing really well and great for our city, so I appreciate that. But there's this sale of this land, of these, I believe it's 18 acres maybe from 201 or 202 to 201 and all the way across. What our main concern is as neighbors is what's going in there. We're getting a lot of different answers, if you want to know. His grandson comes through and says one thing. He comes through and introduces himself and says another. If there was going to be one house, then it was going to be 2 houses. It was going to be like a compound for a family. Great. Now we're hearing that it's going to be kind of living quarters for the truck drivers to stay during their time which is unfortunate because it's like a 4 to 6 week type of training. And we have young kids. I'm more concerned about the children of the neighborhood. I'm just going to go and say it. Are they legal residents? Are they legal citizens? Are they legal to the U.S.? Are they legal at all? I want to give everybody the right to have training and improve themselves and become, a productive citizen. However, I'm just not sure what's going on there. So we've gave them the right to do the driveway. And like Tim was mentioning, it's a very, very large driveway. And now it's went all the way back. And then, it's still their property, but all the way back and then into our backyard. So it does look like it's going to be for several trucks or some type of turnaround. Just as you meet with them, if we can have other, just more investigation than maybe you would give a normal. I don't want to judge them. I don't know them. Just if the people in that city could have a say, or in that part of the city, I should say, to have a say of what goes in and how it is zoned in our area. Because I don't feel like they're going to use it as just a home. I think it's going to be more of I don't know if like not even an apartment, because they're moving in and out every 4 to 6 weeks.
Well, but we don't, so I
And I don't know
appreciate,
that.
I certainly appreciate all the comments, and I appreciate how much you care about your part of the city and the pride you have in the ownership of your neighborhood. That is great. I just want to make sure that we're very careful not to make any declaratory statements about this is going to happen, and because these folks are going to be here, we want this instead.
And that's fair.
We have
Yes.
an obligation to treat everybody, every zoning application that comes through NAYA's desk has to be treated the same.
For sure.
And we want to make sure that that's the case here. And that's why the manager said we want to get as much information as we can. They're going to, you said, meet with these folks later this week.
As staff.
Yeah,
Mostly
staff is going to be
Okay.
meeting.
Yeah.
And we want to make sure that we get as many facts as we can. And
Sure.
again, I don't even believe a permit's been pulled yet. So we want to make sure that we don't say anything tonight that,
Right.
that declares one thing or another before
Okay.
we've had a chance to litigate any, or before we had a chance to let staff examine anything according to our current code. So everybody gets the
And
same
that's fair.
opportunity.
Yes.
But we certainly appreciate the
Thank you for your
concern,
time.
and you guys are here because you're passionate about our city, and we appreciate that.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Ashley Nash, 105 Beatrice. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Mr. Mayor, council members, my name is Ashley Nash. I'm 105 Beatrice Drive, Riverside, Ohio. Been a citizen of Riverside for 65 years. Never been in front of you guys. So
Welcome.
this is important to us. Well, thank you. I'm going to reiterate what my neighbor had said on that. I've just got a list of things for y'all when you have the meeting to think about on there. We have a USGS runoff waterway that's back in the woods that was developed during the 1913 floods. That goes on. You're not supposed to be doing a whole lot with that as far as retrofit from, I think it's 100 feet back from there, so erosion won't get into that. Again, they're building roads back there. We can see it. I definitely got a bird's eye view. And I'm not against, I want neighbors. Buy the lot, build, have a happy life. Love it. But be out in front of what we're doing here. Is this for one house or three? Is it going to be for, and another question, is it going to be permanent residence to house people for his business while he's certifying CDL of his school? That's what he's using a hotel down here for, from what I understand. That's where he's putting them up at. We just don't want every 3 or 4 or 5 weeks, different people in. As a quiet neighborhood, that does disturb us. Is there room for wells, leach beds that go through that? Have to be sanitary back there. Let's see. Security for the neighbors. We don't know any of these people that are coming through if that happens. And one last thing, is this a home or a hotel? That's all we have. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And last but certainly not least, Dan Tieford, 15 Beatrice. Even though we know you well, we need you to state your name and address for the record.
I don't know who I am.
Thank you, Dave.
Dan Tieford, 15 Beatrice Drive. You all know me.
Who are you again?
It's a bad situation over there, but again, we're all just really concerned about what's going on. We've all got together and talked. We'd like to have like a town meeting or a meeting with the owner of the woods and have him tell us what he really wants to do or what he is doing back there, because his workers, his son, have told us various things. 3 bungalow houses, $50,000 to $75,000 type homes for his tenant drivers. I'm going to build a house for my sister or my daughter. Just the story keeps changing. And again, the driveway, the parking lot that you could probably put 40 cars in, it don't make sense if you're only going to build 3 houses. The other day when I talked to him, well, I may put 6 houses, or I may end up putting houses all the way down the backside of the woods. It'd be just nice to know what he's doing so we can prepare ourselves or move. Not that I have anything against anybody, but I'll be darned if I'm going to put up with a bunch of crap behind me. I've lived there 40-some years. He ordered me off of his property. My fence is 3 inches over on his property. Now granted, I was going to take my fence down and put a new one up anyway, but he ordered me to take that fence down and I'm 3 inches over. Now, that's not a good neighbor. I'm sorry. He wants to be a good neighbor. That's not being a good neighbor. So that's why I'm a little upset with him. I could tell you a whole lot more, but at this point, we'll just try to be a good neighbor and let you guys decide what to do, and if we can come up with a town meeting and have him tell us what he's really planning on doing back there. Because, you know, he has a CDL school on Troy Pike. He bought the pool hall on Valley and made it a private club. They own about 10 houses in North Dayton. Do a deep dive. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tieford. All right. Well, we will now move on. After that, we're going to move into our discussion items. So now this is usually when we really have to get into it, but I feel like our residents have given us a lot to think about tonight. And thank you again for the people that have joined us tonight. I just want to make sure everybody who might be watching understands that we have to evaluate zoning applications and rezoning applications that might come across our desk, the desk of our staff, in a fair and uniform way. And we understand, I'm very thankful that the members of the people here tonight from Beatrice also understand that. So we want to treat everybody fair, and we want to make sure that information is shared the way it should be. I always say the best decisions are made when the most information is available. Over to the city manager for our discussion items and our guests here tonight from the CIC.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to introduce Phil and Chad Downing, who are with the Downing Group, and they are the executive director of the Riverside CIC. So, gentlemen, if you come on up to the podium, they've prepared a presentation with a bit of an update about what's going on with the CIC and where we're going next. Gents,
Great.
take it away.
Well, thank you very much, Mayor, councilors, clerk, and our esteemed directors. How are you all this evening? By the way, I'm putting up a fence, so now I'm going to go back and double check my measurements. I just got a little worried, 3 inches, 3 feet. Yeah. So anyway, really
Yeah, get a
appreciate-
permit before you put a fence up.
I know I did. That took me a little while, but I got it. I navigated that, so I feel good about that. Thank you very much. We're glad to be with you tonight. As you know, we've been helping navigate the redevelopment, if you will, standing up the CIC again. As you know, it was an active organization many years ago, fell into dormancy, and clearly is a tool that we feel is very vital to the future development of the community. And we wanted to talk to you a little bit more about some of the specific things that we've been doing. But literally, CICs are about the movement of property. You know, we've heard a lot of discussion about property tonight, very serious discussions, and we take it that way. So what we always want to think about, highest and best use of property, how to reduce the city's maintenance, holding costs, how to take that property, return it to the tax rolls, and find the best solution possible for the folks of the community. What we've done, as you all are aware, is help draft the CIC strategic plan, which aligned, dovetailed directly with the One Riverside plan. Many of the outcomes that we've come up with here directly support neighborhood stability, looking at commercial corridors, the nodes of activity, and figuring out how to bring larger commercial and mixed-use opportunities to Riverside. I'm going to let Chad, my partner, talk a little bit more here about some of the specific properties and the corridors and why we feel those are the ones that should be looked at first.
Great, and everything that we've done here, we've couched this in the One Riverside plan. Obviously, the enactment of the CIC was a directive from that plan, and many of the next activities we're going to take with recommendations and how do we promote these properties for development are all tied back to the basis for that plan. So looking to the next slide here, what we're talking about tonight is one of the key functions of the CIC to act as a land utilization corporation for the city. And our first step here is to request properties that the city has that are deemed surplus, positioned for potential development in various formats. And we've selected this first tranche largely through what you'll see a geographic corridor, but also by what we believe are some of the best areas to get immediate results, take away some of these operating and maintenance costs on behalf of the city, and begin to attract new development in a way that, again, that aligns with these plans. So there's a map that we'll represent here, but our real big focus here in the immediate short term, and we will have follow-up tranches into the future as we begin to pull more property and analysis in some of the areas together, is to get this first batch of properties that we can begin to work with local property owners on for potential side lots, whether they're to businesses or property owners. Working to aggregate property strategically that into sites that could be positioned for future redevelopment or new development opportunities, and then beginning to have these properties in a position with the CIC so we can begin to actually have serious conversations with developers. Throughout the onset of the CIC, we've been letting people know about this new tool, the new opportunities are going to be available in Riverside to work with the CIC to this effect. But now this is our first ask to the city to say, these are the best properties we believe to get started with today. We'll certainly be back into the future for others as the city and the CIC staff work closely to identify the next best tranches. But this next site, which does spotlight and feature the center of flight site, given its potential for redevelopment opportunities, especially given obviously direct access to the base and the Air Force Museum. So to give you a quick overview of the process here, again, the CIC is positioned under Ohio Revised Code to be your land utilization corporation. So we're the natural entity through Ohio Revised Code. It establishes the process for the city to declare this property surplus, transfer it to the CIC for us to begin to enact our activities, again, in line with your plans. So what I know into the future, you will take legislation and before you will declare that property surplus. The property will then come to the CIC, and we're going to begin to already actively market that and promote the community and the opportunities here, which we believe there is a lot, and then begin to work with those private developers to identify plans to submit to the community for approval to begin to activate these properties. Some properties may not be in a position to see new construction, but they're better off in someone else's hand, especially those that we know will take care of them, begin to pay taxes on them, and integrate them with their properties, whether they be business or residential. And most importantly is getting these properties back to productive use. They're a burden on the city now. City's having to mow them, pay insurance costs, but what we can do through the CIC is help get these properties off of your backs into productive use, and that's the intention of this initial list here. And again, we're hopeful that not only will these properties lower the cost the city's having, but will actually return costs through new taxes coming in and obviously economic activity in aggregate. We can go to the next slide, please. So again, we're looking at properties that really span the gamut of different opportunities. There's some small lots that really have no purpose to the city and aren't developable, but with the side lot owner, could be a great use for them to be able to do more of their business. And then there's others, again, Center of Flight being the most focal, that really we believe are in a great position to be developed, especially with the gate reopening here. There's going to be, the traffic counts have gone up significantly from a commercial perspective. We believe that there's a lot of opportunity to engage with developers on this site specifically, but again, those in the immediate area. So you can see much of our activity, all of the yellow highlighted parcels are those that we're going to be requesting in the next tranche of properties. And again, these are all different sizes, different types of uses, so our focus is to make sure that we have options for everyone that we're going to be looking at.
And these are city-owned properties transferred to the CIC?
These are all city-owned properties. One of the other activities that we do take on is being able to file tax foreclosure on abandoned and tax delinquent properties, which are privately owned. And those are all effectively abandoned properties. And for those of you who may be familiar, those are programs that have been going on for a long time. Fortunate news for the city of Riverside is compared to many other peer communities, you don't have as many of those out there. So this is where this surplus city property is very important to be able to, again, get more activity and begin to redevelop these properties.
And if I may, one area that the city really excels in is dealing with nuisance properties. We've worked with a lot of communities. That is an area that is commonly overlooked.
Phil, can you use the mic?
Yeah. One of the areas that the city, I think, really excels in and is looking at are the nuisance properties. And that's an area where the CIC can work directly with the city to begin to move those properties through a legal process and actually be the recipient of the property at the end of the day. So it's not that that property is just going to sit there, have future problems. This is a way to resolve those. So when you see boarded up properties, there is a pathway and a process.
Next slide, please. So again, we're going to be looking at several different key disposition strategies, but we're going to take all of these in course based on the type of property, the opportunities that come forward, and really what we believe based on the One Riverside plan are the highest and best uses for these. So again, side lot programming, these could be for homeowners or business owners, which I think you do have some great opportunities for that. Some of this is going to be strategic aggregation of lots to where we may try to acquire properties into the future or work with developers to buy maybe what's left and position areas for more development, maybe in ways they hadn't been seen before, especially in the context of the One Riverside plan. And then sites like the Center for Flight, we can really begin to position that to go and engage with developers and represent the opportunity here and make the case for them to come and present really good proposals to the city for the redevelopment and new development on those sites. So those are our key focuses, is how do we begin disposition of these properties in a way that's effective on behalf of the community. And again, the strategic benefits here are what ultimately our goal as the CIC is to be an agent for the city to affect these positive outcomes. We are positioned legally to be the agency to conduct this type of activity on behalf of the city and be able to work directly with businesses, really business to business in many ways. We're able to use, again, as Phil mentioned, some of these different nuisance redevelopment tools which you've already been using, and the CIC can be an agent to help support that. But overall, all of this activity is to affect community impact and make sure that we're delivering positive outcomes in line with the community objectives that get tax properties back on the tax rolls. So with that, really, we're happy to answer any questions. The next steps are, I believe, that you will have ordinance and legislation presented to you with the list that we've recommended to staff. Once we get ownership of these properties, we're going to begin to actively market them. And of course, we'll be sure through staff and any other opportunities to present to council to provide updates on the status of those properties, our progress, and share that information going forward. But we're really excited. The time to spend here up until now has been getting the legal gears set up, having conversations, really introducing the fact that CIC is an operating agent back in the community and in the region. And now to have properties to be able to go forth and have tangible conversations with is the key next step. So with that, we're happy to answer any questions about the process or anything that you'd like.
I would just provide a word of thanks to the Downing Group. I've been able to help with the CIC in the meetings that we've had the last several months. And not only am I excited about the ability of the CIC to move along some of these properties that we've just been holding on to, but I'm also reminded that when the county treasurer was visiting us in June, and we talked about ways that cities can diminish delinquent properties within the city, within their boundaries, that the city of Riverside's done a good job the last couple of years of getting a lot of those back onto the positive rolls, but the lingerers if you will, that are still there. Mr. McManus said that having a very vibrant CIC, which can help move properties along, is what other communities in Montgomery County has done to be able to affect that in a positive way. So I think that in this case, the way that we're going to use our CIC is going to be very strategic and very beneficial with a lot of those properties. So I'm thankful that we have you guys.
Thank you, Mayor.
Once this occurs, do you feel pretty confident that we'll finally see some movement where the Senator flight is?
You know, there's been a lot of economic activity, I think, is really pushing that into a positive direction. And candidly, being able to have a conversation with a CIC as opposed to a city, developers, especially in Ohio, who've been working in this space, are much more comfortable with, and they can understand the different outcomes. So we believe that there's going to be a different approach to this. And the city, your leadership, there's been a lot of positive changes. There's a lot of economic activity at the base. So we think that time is as good as now to get that done.
No, I'd echo that. I think, that site lends itself to a number of users. You've got to be very careful. Clearly, when you go out and approach developers, we want to be targeted. We want to make the most of everybody's time, so to speak. So that's the next stage of diligence that we're going to do. We do have and have held discussions with a variety of developers. Now it's really time to kind of bring them in.
And to kind of close that off, the One Riverside plan is the foundational piece. A lot of developers, they want to go into communities that know what they want. And because of your time, effort, and investment to do that, that helps developers feel much more comfortable that they're going to come and know what they should bring to the table, but be well received as well. So that step is very critical in how is the CIC going to be successful. So we commend you for that.
Okay, and if anybody's curious, the CIC is made up of a member of council, a member of the planning commission, a member of the BZA, a staff member, and the legal director. Or, I'm sorry, the legal director is there on behalf of the city, but it is...
Finance director.
Finance director, thank you. I knew there's 5 of us. All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, and then we'll move on to the UDO rewrite, which we are smack dab in the middle of.
We are. In fact, we are right in the middle of it. I want to take a moment actually just to acknowledge Naya and thank her and her team for all the exceptional work that they did facilitating the open house that we held on August 6th. So we did have 2 sessions. We had a midday session from 11 to 1 and then an evening session later that night. The entire council chambers, her team transformed. We had these awesome poster boards that compared the current code to proposed code for a lot of the hot topic issues that have come up at steering committee and planning commission. So kudos, Naya, to you and your team for all the work you did there. It was very well attended, actually, as far as city events go. I think we had about 30-ish people show up in person that day. So thank you to everybody who came out. That kind of takes us to the second discussion point here, which is that's a conversation that's ongoing. And I think from a staff, and I don't want to speak for Naya, her team, or the steering committee, but I think everybody is sensitive to the fact that this is a big undertaking, rewriting a land use code. It's great to have an open house like that. It's great that we had 30 people show up, but we want to be sure that we're trying to get as much feedback as possible on that. So what I've got for you here today, and thank you again to Naya for helping to pull this together, is a quick calendar that just shows kind of where we've been and where we're going over the next couple of weeks and months. So here we are tonight. That's the update to City Council on August 18. Of course, if I was using the right keyboard, that would help. So what's coming up next is a public comment period, which we are anticipating there will be a link that will go out in the survey, or the newsletter, the community newsletter, that'll hit mailboxes early next week. We'll also put that link online. The survey experience for folks will feel a lot like this open house. So we're going to take screenshots or snapshots of the same images that we use to create our code boards. Those will be up, and they will compare and contrast the current and proposed code, ask for folks if they generally agree with the direction, and then for any other comments, ideas, thoughts they have about any of those hot topic issues, as well as anything in general related to zoning or other items that maybe weren't on a board, but that are of interest to them personally. So that survey will go out toward the end of this month. We'll keep it running for about 3 weeks. with the idea being that we'll prepare a deliverable of some kind that summarizes all of that feedback and get that in front of the Planning Commission at their meeting on the 17th. And I want to emphasize here too that this calendar timing is all tentative. I don't expect at this point that these dates will shift too much. But the further out we go, it will depend on how often, how much Planning Commission, and later on the City Council, want to discuss the rewrite and elements of it that may affect the timing. So our goal will be to be in front of Planning Commission to debrief them on resident feedback on the zoning code on the 17th, with the idea being that they'd have a meeting or two to discuss and deliberate that before ideally making a recommendation to the City Council on November 19th about a proposed new land use code. If that happens, according to the schedule we've laid out here, then we would be in a position to start briefing the City Council on that code or proposed code beginning in December. And we could potentially convey that or carry that discussion forward either to December, I believe it's the 15th, or the first meeting in January, and provide a few meetings where folks can chime in and the City Council can make any adjustments to the code, with the idea being that we would do first or second readings toward the end of January, beginning of February next year. Again, the intention here is to create enough touch points at each one of these public meetings where the body in charge of the discussion gets to deliberate. The public gets to show up to those meetings as well. All of these meetings would be public and weigh in with their thoughts and comments, in addition to the outreach we've already done and will continue to do. And we would land at a place where early next year, hopefully by the first quarter, we have a new zoning code which equips folks like our CIC and our staff who are working with other developers on other projects with the tools we need to activate some parcels and hopefully bring some new developments to life. All that being said, I will have a proposed extension of our current moratorium in front of you probably at the next meeting. I think currently that land use moratorium expires in October. We would probably seek to push that through for 6 months until April next year, which again, even though that timeline shows that we anticipate being done by February, we're just trying to buy ourselves that little extra time in case we need a couple meetings or two at Planning Commission or City Council to see this process through. But I do want to reassure folks that the process is in motion. We are collecting that feedback. It is going to go to the Planning Commission. We'll have it in a document. It'll get discussion, and there will be plenty of opportunities for Planning Commission and Council to examine that and make any adjustments that they feel are necessary along the way. So that's all I have on the UDO, unless there are questions. And Naya's here as well.
Is there any statute on how long we can extend moratoria?
I am happy to answer that, and that is always a topic of concern and discussion for me when reviewing these types of extensions. What the law indicates is that an extension must be, our favorite word, reasonable. So since we have a timeline that indicates key milestones as to when we anticipate working with our consultant, as well as ample time to synthesize community feedback and follow our current code, which does require a text amendment to go before Planning Commission, a public hearing must occur, and Planning Commission may have a prerogative to hold one or two more public hearings. And then the recommendation will come to this body, and City Council must, of course, since it's an ordinance, have a first and a second reading. City Council may wish to also have discussion. So we've built into the timeline that's been presented by Mr. Manager and Ms. Holt some buffer to accommodate some extra consideration by both bodies that must consider this ordinance before it's adopted. So in my legal opinion, a 6-month extension to April, when we expect, under the tightest time frame, a deliverable by February to March, to be very reasonable under the case law in Ohio. Thank you for that question, to make that clear as well.
No problem. I'm happy to help.
All right, any other questions on our UDO rewrite process?
And I will say, for those who are not comfortable interacting online, we do have a display in our lobby, and any one of our staff is happy to walk you through that, and you can leave comments in person.
Thank you for that, Naya. That's very important. We do have all those materials, and we're happy to walk people through them. So,
all right.
Just one comment. Thank you for offering a daytime engagement opportunity. That was something that the community has asked us as council in the past, And I appreciate that that opportunity was extended. It's always important to make sure that those who are not regularly able to attend are able to. So thanks.
Absolutely. It was well worth everyone's time. I think we actually had as many or maybe even more that were at that lunchtime session. So certainly something good to bear in mind for the future, too.
All right, we will move on to other items.
I'll be mostly brief.
Mostly brief,
No,
but somewhat not.
Just a quick update. So you may recall when we were discussing grant strategy for Woodman Harshman and the intersection out there, we had applied for a Defense Community Infrastructure Grant. We did not receive that grant, but that's okay. We have plenty of work ahead with the dollars that Congressman Turner's office has given us to continue design. And I think a year from now, 18 months from now, we'll be much better positioned to make an even better targeted ask for a grant like that. So just a quick update on that. Something else for folks, and thank you to Katie for pulling this together. The next newsletter is on the cusp of going out. This is our stormwater edition. So like several of my neighbors who were asking me questions over the weekend about this, I said, well, just keep your eyes out because a lot more is coming. So you will see a copy of some of our information here with respect to stormwater and trash changes coming up for 2026. The other thing, too, that I wanted to emphasize here is that the community survey that we just talked about, as far as the zoning code, has its own little blurb down here at the bottom with a link to our website. So we will advertise all of this in the mail as well. That should hit your mailboxes early next week, if memory serves. So keep an eye out for that. Third thing, the city is encouraging local high school students from Stebbins, Carroll, and East Dayton Christian to participate in generating ideas for a public mural, which will be tentatively installed, or excuse me, it'll be installed at Rohrer Park. I'm not sure of the actual location just yet. I believe Beth and the Parks and Recreation Commission are trying to figure out ideas there. But the idea is we're looking for designs. And so we are in touch with the faculty at the various schools. We do have a form on our website. So the way that if you are a student at one of those high schools and you have an idea for a mural and a good concept, you can get the form either through your school or through the website, but turn it in to your school through the art program. And Parks and Rec has some linkages there. We're going to gather some ideas and see what comes out of that process. So really cool initiative. Just wanted to give that a little bit of airtime so that if anybody's out there and they're interested, they know where to go to participate. And the final thing that I emailed council about at the tail end of last week has to do actually with the Dayton International Airport. So the Dayton Area Chamber of Commerce, the City of Dayton, and Montgomery County are seeking donations from local governments to incentivize additional air service at Dayton International. And effectively what's going on here is that I think the region sees a market opportunity to try to bring more airlines into Dayton because Columbus is undergoing some construction, and with construction going on at the Brent Spence Bridge, Cincinnati's access getting down in there is going to be a little bit more constrained. And so those three groups, the Chamber, the City of Dayton, and the county, are working with Jobs Ohio and the state to try to attract and incentivize more flights. But they are also trying to seek regional participation through this effort. So Jobs Ohio is matching donations at a 4-to-1 ratio. And out of the total ask among the local governments in our region is $600,000 to incentivize airlines to bring more flights here. Dayton, the county, and the chamber are going to do half of that, so they've pledged $300,000. They're looking for $300,000 more from communities in our region. Just from my own 2 cents, I think it's prudent. I think it makes some sense given our proximity to the largest single-site employer, Route 4, the installation, the City of Dayton, and all these players, as a demonstration of both our participation in the region, as well as our willingness to play ball. And heck, I mean, we would all benefit, I think, from more direct flights out of Dayton. I don't think it's unreasonable for the city council to participate in this pledge effort. If you were to ask me how much, I would say something like $30,000 or around a 10% pledge. We are the 5th largest city in the county. And I think it would say something if we were one of the first communities to pledge an amount. We don't have to pay it this year. We can put it into next year's budget, but they are asking for pledge commitments by September 15th. So I can also bring this to you or bring it up again at the next meeting, but I wanted to plant the seed today and see if there is any initial reactions to this request, or if council had thoughts about how to proceed. This is the last item I have, by the way. I won't pester you anymore after this. So.
I get where you're coming from, Josh, but quite honestly, I don't feel comfortable pledging that much money. I just don't. We're in enough situations of our own right now. I just, after viewing the 5-year forecast and some of the other things we got going on, I personally just don't feel comfortable doing it. And I get it, but I just don't feel comfortable. That's me. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, my thing is, I am impacted by Delta stopped doing the direct to LGA. They used to do it twice a day, or once a day, once there, once back. Now that's gone. So the only option to get to New York from here now is a 5 a.m. flight from American. That sucks. But, however, if you pinpoint right here in Riverside, it's an hour and 16 minutes to both Cincinnati and Columbus. So, my alternatives there is I have 3 options out of Columbus, and I have 10 options out of Cincinnati. So while it's unfortunate and it might take me a little bit longer, I mean, it's kind of one of the benefits of living in Dayton is that you are really, really close to 3 viable airports. So, I mean, it's a lot of money for a short-term fix while Columbus is going through that renovation, and Cincinnati is that Brent Spence Bridge project is going to be forever long. And there's alternatives to that too, going around 275 into Indiana. So I think that the Dayton Airport is a viable hub. I joke all the time about, I've actually taken a video of how long it takes me to get from my gate to my car. And I send it to people who go to Atlanta or JFK, and the time it would take for me to get to the airport is significantly, or our time to get to the airport is significantly less than anywhere else in the country. So I think we're really well covered here in this area for
Air travel.
I tend to agree with Jesse as well. I mean, I think it was back in '23, we did have a new airline come in, Avelo Airlines. I think they operated about 7 months, and they pulled out for the lack of demand at the airport. So at this point, and I echo what Zach said too, the Brent Spence project is a long, long way away. So by the time we would attract anything new, I don't think it would be worth it.
We're going to have 4 more presidents who are going to have a press conference under the Brent Spence Bridge before we see that happen.
I think that's what it boils down to, is where's the ROI for our community?
Yes.
And
It's just
not clear.
it's a hard sell for us, even if there's a larger perceived greater good. It's tax dollars stay in the city of Dayton, and I think from my standpoint, I would love to see an instance where the region was pulling for something that would, really benefit us. Not saying that it has to happen every year. It'd be nice if it happened 1 year out of the 30 we've been here. So I certainly see the larger picture that you described, but it's to Brenda's point, how do we say to our neighbors, maybe our spouses at home, this is why we're paying taxes, so we could help the Dayton Airport, really. But it's good to have these discussions.
Well, I just have to say, you all know that I'm very involved in regional cooperation.
Yes.
And I don't believe that it would behoove us to not be a partner. And I won't say anything else.
I'm sorry, could you say that sentence one more time so I could?
I said, you know that I am a promoter.
Regional
of-
advocate, yes.
Right.
Yes.
And I think it would behoove us to be a partner in this effort.
Okay, thank you. I didn't know if I heard a negative in that.
For the relationship building aspect.
Yes, absolutely. And it would help everybody. I'm not going to go into my experiences flying in and out of Dayton, because y'all don't need to hear that. But all I'm saying is that I believe more opportunities would behoove all of us. I will give one example of a neighbor who did process military people in and out of the airport to serve this country. And he found it very difficult and sometimes had to be out there at 1 o'clock in the morning because that's the only way he could get the guys back. And that's not a good thing.
All right, there's a lot to think about.
Well, that's helpful for me, so I appreciate the discussion, so thank you.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
All right, well then, unless this piece of paper has 3 sides, there's no executive session tonight.
Correct.
So we
Move
will,
to adjourn.
if there's any council member discussion or council member comments.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I'll take liberty to say one more personal thing tonight. 9 years ago, I started dating the reason why I came to Dayton in the first place. So happy 9-year anniversary to Austin, because I know he's one of the 3 people watching. That's all I have.
Not wedding anniversary, though.
No, like together anniversary,
Okay.
like 9.
All right, just making sure.
I have something.
I think we're adjourning.
No,
aren't we?
no.
Okay, we're still going.
I want to give a big thank you to Stebbins High School administration and the school down south of Riverside administration for finally coming back together and
Yay.
agreeing to start cooperating and participating in events. It's great for the city, great for our students, just great as a whole, bringing back some of that
You
rivalry.
could say the name of the school.
Great for me and
We're
Jesse.
okay with that. I know it's hard.
As an
but-
alumni, it's sometimes. No,
Stebbins
Carol.
versus Carroll's
you know,
always good.
Yeah, Pete's been an alumni of Carroll, and I'm alumni of Stebbins, so I want to do a little challenge to Pete. Friday's a big game. I suggest that the loser of the football game, the alumni, has to wear the other team's jersey at the next council
I'll
meeting.
second that.
At a council meeting.
At a council
Oh,
meeting.
Man.
Do you accept?
Doesn't mean you can't
sounds
throw
like
a
a
jacket.
challenge.
Oh, no. Oh, no. You got to sport it proudly.
I will happily accept in the spirit of
Community.
community and neighborliness, and I'll also take that to pivot and also invite everyone here and everyone who's listening to not just the game on Friday, which is 7 o'clock at Carroll, but there will be a community tailgate starting at 5:30 in the Carroll parking lot, which is open to the entire community. There is popcorn and hot dogs and drinks donated by Kroger's, and Lee's Famous Recipe is donating desserts, and Carroll is donating the hot dogs and popcorn, and we mostly want people to just come and visit. We want people from the entire community, if you're coming to watch the game, even if you just want to stop in the tailgate and don't want to watch the game, please come and say hello, meet some folks. There's a Facebook event that is a joint event that Stebbins and Carroll have both co-promoted that went live this afternoon. So please, if you're able to on Friday night, just stop by Friday afternoon, really. I think it's not going to be quite as hot as it is right now, and it'll be a fun night. It's tough when you have kids playing in the game. I have a nephew and 2 sons.
What number in the blue jerseys do we watch?
Well, my nephew's a senior. He's a team captain. He's number 2, and it'll be a fun night because my nephew grew up hearing his dad, my older brother, and I talk about how important it was week 1 to play Stebbins, and you got to win that game. And my brother Matt went 1-3 against Stebbins, but he won his senior year, and it meant the world to him. And I went 2-2. So it was a big deal, and the whole summer would build up. We didn't have social media back then. We'd see each other at St. Helens Festival and say, I'll see you in August, and whole summer, you'd build up to the game. So it was a really fun community event. So I certainly share Jesse's enthusiasm. It's a great way to bring the community together. Because of our geography, the north-south divide does not always allow us to see each other all the time. There's a pretty big Air Force base in the middle. But nights like Friday, I'm hoping, and then next year up here at Stebbins, will be a great night for us to get together as a community and see our neighbors and the kids we watch grow up, whether they're playing in the band, whether they're on the football field, whether they're cheerleaders, whether they're kids in the stands cheering. It should be a very fun night, so looking forward to it. And thank you to Chad Wien, the superintendent, who is really the guy who made this happen. So thank you, Chad.
I have something. They're no longer in the room, but I really want to commend our neighbors from Beatrice Avenue. for coming in and speaking with us tonight in a very productive and proactive discussion, raising, potential avenues for solving the potential conflict with their future neighbor. I know that it's not easy to come before city council. I have a coworker that I was in conversation with earlier today, and she talked about how she went before her city council, and it was, it took a lot of motivation to go and take that step. And all of that is to say, thank you to the citizens who came here and made the effort, and for the neighborliness that they demonstrated with each other, coming as a group and trying to solve problems, which is what we're all here trying to do anyway. So that's it.
I would agree.
International Night is tomorrow at El Taco Velaz.
Where Andy's a regular.
Chamber is hosting that. I think it's $20 a person, and you needed to have your RSVP to Lynn, but there's always room for one or two extra. And they're going to, as far as I know, it's kind of going to be a buffet to kind of taste a lot of different things that I have yet to have anything bad from that restaurant. It's awesome.
amazing.
It's an
Certainly agree.
awesome place to eat. But anyway, there you go.
All right.
I think I will round out the conversation about Deed School being back in session, and as a bus driver, I would just encourage everybody to be on the lookout for us and be patient with us, because we are learning new routes as well. So
And maybe new kids.
And maybe a lot of new kids. So if we stay there with our reds on for a little bit longer than normal, just give us a couple extra seconds. We're trying to plot our next move and pick up our next kid and get them there safely to where they need to be. So yes.
And thank you for
Thank-
all you do keeping our kids safe.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a tough job.
It's what I do. It's all good. It is all good. It's very rewarding.
You're always so calm and stress-free. It's amazing. How are you a school bus driver?
Because he yells at all the kids on the bus.
Exactly.
It's all out.
That's what I take
By
it
the time
out
he
on.
gets here, it's all out of him.
Ask him about the one that went to sleep on his bus.
Yeah,
today.
that was an interesting situation, first in my time. I had a high schooler who decided to take a nap on the bus, so.
And didn't get off.
Yeah, and realized he was on my bus when I got back to the bus garage. So, yeah, that was.
It's a pretty good nap.
Yeah, very good nap. I even yelled on the intercom, anybody else? And, yep, nothing. So he had a nice nap, so.
Teenagers are always sleeping.
Indeed. And when they're not.
They're learning.
Is that what it is?
Learning what they should be doing. Well, then I believe we will adjourn.